Hello YouTube and Infinite Magic Raid players. So I haven't put up a little video in a little while, and I apologize for that. Just been kind of racking my brain a little bit on what to make videos about because I'm not interested really in doing like patch notes videos because they don't they come out like immediately after we get them, so there's no sense and reading off the same things that you guys can be reading aside from maybe giving an opinion. But I did receive a question a few weeks ago about like blessings and how to use them, what to put them on, who's looking for what blessings, and that did spark a idea in my head about unit building in general because with the current state of IMR, right? We have not only do we have our typical gear, right? We have all this different gear with different, stat bonuses, and they'll have different substats. This already in and of itself is kind of a complex mechanic, but now we've added things like auras. We can use different auras to enhance our builds. We can use now blessings to enhance our builds, and we can use echoes to enhance our builds. So between all of this, you're able to really be versatile with how you build your heroes. And versus like a one-size-fits-all equation, you're able to kind of like modify and be flexible with what you need as you need it. So like, let me take my Nordak for example, right? Our Nordak build is pretty decent into speed and HP and res. But it's not quite where I would like it to be. I'm still kind of tuning things out. So what I've done is I've put crit rate blessings on him. I'm using tenacity. What I'd like to do is probably change this to res, but that's a whole nother another story. And then we've got HP rate blessings on the elves. So what I would say as far as like how to use blessings and unit building in general is the first thing you gotta do is understand how the heroes in and of themselves work. So like Nordak is an HP based shielder, so obviously he's going to want HP based, and for PvP and even PvE applications you're going to want some res on him so he can resist effects and bring his defensive capabilities to the battlefield there. So HP is a really good stat for him, speed's a good stat for him, res is a good stat for him, and then he does a lot of damage based off of his basic here. If he has the Divine Light, it deals extra damage equal to 40% of his total shield value, but at exclusive 1, it includes ally shield values as well. So like he can do some heavy damage. So that's why I'm building the crit rate up a little bit. Ideally for me, I want Nordak to be closer to like 1,000,000 HP, around the same speed, closer to 100% crit rate, maybe higher crit damage and higher res. This is what I think would be a good build for him. As far as auras, I might consider Hit Grandmaster for HP or Survival just for survival. But anyhow, that's just kind of how it goes. Like what you have to do really to determine what blessings are going to go where is you have to look at your box stats, right, and see what exactly you're lacking. Like some people might not be able to get a high crit rate on Henge, so in order to get their crit rate up they might have to put crit rate blessings. As far as auras, there are multiple auras that are good for her. You've got Boss Slayer, you've got Versatility, you've got Survival, and then you've got down here, you've got Bold Confidence is pretty good for her, and even Blessing is good for her. So like there's there really isn't a one-size-fit-all equation for any of this. For auras, for gear, for echoes, for blessings, you're kind of equipping what you've got and building what you need, like for specific teams. I know that I use Panda and Donald, for example. I use them together. I know that the enemy's going to want their DPS to be faster than my Donald's in order to prevent getting shackled from him. So, actually, I've got the wrong gear set on him. Typically, he wears this piece and this piece. So that brings his speed down to 2073, right? So you're going to want to be faster than my Donald. I run Donald with Panda, so I've dialed in Panda's speed to be just slower than Donald, and now I'm working on the HP res stats. With the speed being where I want it, and obviously I could probably build a freaking monster panda. I could make him like 23 or 2400 speed. I could make him with like 900k HP and over 200 res. But that doesn't necessarily fit the team that he's working in and how he has to interact with my other heroes on the team. Because, with him being slower than Donald and the enemy making their DPS faster than Donald, that's going to give Panda some more TM boost, because they're forced to play at a higher speed than my Panda now, and that's how I take advantage of that situation. And this is going to apply for a lot of heroes. Like, if you use Henge with somebody, you're likely going to take your Henge and your DPS speed is going to be slightly slower than your Henge. So that way your Henge can come in with a S4, strip the enemy of their buffs, and then your DPS can follow up with their damage, and hopefully take somebody or multiple people out. And that's kind of how that works. So it's like I was saying, there's not really a one-size-fits-all. There's no way to do that. You can have like general recommendations, like maybe you want crit damage for Melkio, maybe you want crit rate for Nordak, maybe you want crit damage for Brynn, or even leech for Brynn, maybe you want mastery for Nita or poison damage bonus for Nita, maybe you want crit damage or attack rate for your Madlena, and things like this. Like you could get really, really general in that sense, but over time, when you run into your Sanctuary growth, right? So Sanctuary, for me, wow, all these pop-ups. Sanctuary for me adds a lot on the back end. So I'm getting 42% effect hit, 46% crit damage, 19% crit rate. Like, I'm getting all these stats from my Sanctuary filling. And then, of course, we've got Incarnate Sanctuary 2. We've got the Arena talents, which are all adding stats. We've got the Mark talents, which are all adding stats. All of this stuff kind of works together and synergizes together. And with the versatility that we've got, with the blessings, with the auras, with the echoes, with your Sanctuary, with your talents, all of that stuff working together, there's no way to say one size fits all. This is the blessings to use. But what we're going to try to cover then is team building in a sense, and gearing in a sense. Like how do I go about building my heroes, right? And this is going to be like a multiple part video series that I work on over the next couple of weeks or so. But what we're going to start with first and foremost would be auras, because I think auras are a very crucial part of PvP and PvE right now, especially with our new PvP content. If this will load, our War of Thrones content here. I don't think it has information about the... No, it doesn't. But this content in particular was I want to say this season, the dungeon effect, or the season effect per se. It was damage boosts based off of like your aura stars. So like you were getting a lot of increased stats from having max level or max star legendary auras, purple auras too, but the legendary auras were getting a lot of stats. So like with content like this, I feel like it's important that we start talking about auras to begin with, so that way everyone has an idea of what they're working for in the future. Because in order to place in this content, to climb the rankings in this content and to collect those rewards, you're going to start needing to have auras on pretty much all of your tunes, even some trash tunes. Like, this is 5v5. I had like Ether, Nilua, Elsa, like some heroes that aren't really great per se. Nilua is good, don't get me wrong. Maybe Ether would be more so what I'm leaning towards here, but they're not like phenomenal game-defining tunes. Like, you can get by without Ether. But with the way that the content is, it feels like we need to go ahead and put an aura on Ether, just that way we can get that stat bonus for that team. So with that being the case, I think we're going to see a lot of non-traditional, non-meta, and maybe not non-meta, but like less meta heroes start to come forward with auras. Things that are like in Team 4s and Team 5s. You'll start to see probably more Ascendos with like Arena Dominators. You'll start to see more Ethers with their auras. Even Tifias will probably start to get like, I don't know, Advanced Hits, kind of a cheap aura, Shield Smash. they're going to start leaning towards these legendary auras. And what I want to do is go through my box here and start talking about the different auras that we can use for these heroes. And like what makes sense. And we'll do both legendary and purple. And we're going to go through the more so meta tunes, like for late game PvP, 5v5 applications. I'm not going to cover like 1v1 and 3v3 because the meta is different for newer players. And I don't have that much time for a single video. So here, without further ado, let's get on with it. So Nordak. Nordak has a few different auras that work well for him. You can use Speed Mark aura. This is good for PvE applications where if your Nordak's not quick enough to do what he needs to do in like the dungeon or in the Faction Abyss or other places, you can build his speed up with this. For Wuthering Coast and your Wuthering Coast teams, you might need more crit rate and crit damage, so Bold Confidence is a really good aura for him in that application. And then for, I want to say, we'll call this like endgame PvP, right? What you're probably looking at your Nordak in terms of legendary auras would be like the Hit Grandmaster, the Survival aura, and possibly Arena Dominator, even though I think this is kind of a waste. So these two are the big options, I feel like, for Nordak in endgame PvP. When you start looking at purple auras, the Bold Confidence, like I said, is pretty good. The Speed Mark is also pretty good. And the Dwarven Blessing. These three auras are probably the top purple auras for Nordak. So now let's jump into Melchio. For Melchio, we've got Shield Smash on Rs. It is a budget aura. I do like this aura. It does a lot of damage. So you can run Shield Smash. I don't think Boss Slayer is very good for Melchio. You can use Versatility. This would be the second recommendation. It is a Kraken aura. Obviously, it's going to be a lot better than Shield Smash. So if you can afford to put Versatility, it is a better aura. But if you don't have this kind of rune stones to spend on your Melchio, then Shield Smash is a very, very good aura. Like I think Shield Smash is one of the better aura for DPSs in general. In terms of purple auras, what you're going to be looking at is the Bold Confidence. There's not another aura that I really think works well for him here. Bold Confidence is going to be the one. When we jump over to Brynn, her best in-slot aura that I think exists is the Bloodthirst aura. You can run things like, I guess you could run Survival, just so that way she's tankier, but I still think the Bloodthirst is going to be the best because she can, leech herself back to life. We've also got Bold Confidence for the purple aura. This would be the best in slot purple aura for Brynhild. Looking at Nita, we've got a few options in the legendary department. Classic would be the advanced hit aura. This is what I'm running. But with the introduction of Wukong and needing insane stats to take them out, the Surging Force aura works very well for Nita because you're going to get a lot of mastery boosts, and this helps counter the mastery reduction from Wukong. In terms of purple auras, what you're going to be looking at is the Hitmaster. This is going to be the best purple aura that you can put for her. Effect hit is very important for her kit. That's why the advanced hit is still good, but I think that you can get effect hit through other means, especially towards late game PvPers. So that's when you can start looking at the Surging Force aura. When we jump into Madlena, the best in-slot gold aura for her would probably be the Shield Smash, in my opinion, because she does do a lot of basic attacks. I think that you could run Versatility for Madlena, but it also seems like a Kraken aura. The Shield Smash will work very well with her with way that her kit is. I don't think Boss Slayer is very great for her. Shield Smash, like I said, is probably one of the better DPS auras. So you're looking at Shield Smash, maybe Versatility if you can afford the Kraken expense there, and then if you don't, run these two auras, a good best in slot purple aura for her would be this Bold Confidence. This Bold Confidence works for a lot of damage dealers, direct damage dealers, as a good purple aura, so you'll see me recommending that a lot for anyone with DPS. For Ben Austin, there are two auras that really come to mind. You've got the Skill Master, and then you've got the Arena Dominator, are both good ones for him. The reason being is that he's doing the S4, which and the S2, which will increase your team's damage. It's like having a CV on your team. So Skill Master does work for him, but he does need to be fast. So Arena Dominator is also a good aura. It's more so a Kraken aura. In terms of the purple auras, you could probably use Hitmaster or Speedmark. The reason why I would put Hitmaster on this list is because S2 needs effect hit in order to land. If it lands, you're reducing cooldowns, which is good for his kit. And then Speedmark as a second aura because, like I said, he does need to be pretty quick. At 2748, mine does not feel fast enough for endgame PvP, so he's in a mid team. For Henge, the best in-slot auras for her are Boss Slayer, Survival, and Versatility. I like Boss Slayer, it does a lot of damage. Survival is very good for her because she does a lot of ally protections and she absorbs a lot of damage. So this aura, I would not sleep on this aura. It's very good for tanky and sustainability. For mine, I just feel like I've got enough of that where I don't need to look for more. Because by the time that would become an issue, typically the fight's over. And it's over one way or the other. Like, either I lose or the enemy lose, because there's a lot of Henges in PvP, and once they soak up that shield, once they're fully charged, and they drop an S4, or they're, sending S1s back and forth, they're wiping heroes. So that is why I kind of lean towards Boss Slayer. I think Versatility could be really good, because it does offer that extra survival in addition to the skill damage increase. And then Survival, like I said, it's just a really tanky aura, so it can work good for her. Honorable mention to Bloodthirst aura though, because leeching is kind of OP for Henge. She can regen her HP, and like I said, she's a naturally tanky hero. So honorable mention here, but I wouldn't put this on my Henge. So I'm not gonna recommend anybody to do that. For the purple auras, we're looking at Bold Confidence. We're looking at Dwarven Blessing. These are going to be the best two purple auras for her. Jumping over to Big Jack, the main auras are going to be the Purple Speed, the Arena Dominator, and Skill Master, in my opinion. And Skill Master, I want to say, is more so a PvE aura, because when it comes to Big Jack, speed wins fights. And in a mirror match, Big Jack versus Big Jack, you're going to need to be the faster Big Jack in order to catch to win, or maybe have a Ronai and land Hypnotize. So I think that Skill Master leans more so in the PvE department than the PvP department. I know for mine, whenever I'm playing PvP, typically I'll switch over to the Speed Mark, and at some point I will start building an Arena Dominator for him, just not right now because I don't have the runes. I need a lot of number 10s to do that. For Wukong, I really like Survival aura. He does soak up a lot of damage, so Survival is really good for him. You can also use Hit Grandmaster or Boss Slayer. I would say that Survival... probably Survival would be the best in slot in my opinion. Hit Grandmaster is really good too because it shares the love, but Survival, because he is like solo directing a lot of this damage, it's really good for him because it will prevent him from dying as easily, so I use this one for him. As far as purple auras go, again, we could go with the Bold Confidence if you need some damage, or the Dwarven Blessing because HP works really well with Wukong. For Panda, we've got the Survival aura on our Panda. I like this aura. I think that you could use Combat Vanguard. This is a decent aura. He does inflict an AoE strike which attacks all the enemies, so it would be applying Combat Vanguard pretty efficiently, just not on the first turn. And I use my Panda in a cleave team, so for me, having Combat Vanguard on him would only work if I mess with my smart cast a little bit, like do S4, S1 for example, which I'm not necessarily interested in kind of messing with at the moment. So I'm using Survival. I want him to sustain through a fight. I'm using him in a pretty tanky team. Yeah, I am using him in a tanky team. I'm using him with Nordak, Santa, things of that nature. So survival is good for him, so that way he can, cycle through. In a cleave situation, you could do S4, S1 and run Combat Vanguard on him, or Skill Master even. Probably Combat Vanguard because it's more budget aura. And you could use Hit Grandmaster, although this would probably be like a honorable mention. Kind of like the Bloodthirst on Henge was a honorable mention. I wouldn't necessarily say go get Hit Grandmaster. I would say go for Survival, Combat Vanguard, or Skill Master. And I would leave it at that. And Skill Master 2 is kind of a stretch. That's more so Kraken territory in my opinion, because those number 9s are pretty expensive and hard to get. So these two I would say are probably the best for your panda. In terms of purple auras, you're going to want to go with Dwarven Blessing or Recovery Horn. They're both fine auras for panda. Now we're looking at Agatha. For Agatha, she's got a lot of auras that work for her. You can use Boss Slayer. You can use Shield Smash. You can use Versatility. These are all really good legendary auras for her. Probably the Versatility is the best because it does scale with HP, and she's typically full HP because she has a lot of shielding, and typically you'll put her in a tankier team, so you don't necessarily have to worry about her HP being low. Not making use of this this aura. I used to run Versatility on my Agatha, but I changed that to Belle and put Boss Slayer on Agatha for the time being. At the time, I was using Agatha for PvE applications, so Boss Slayer worked for me. I think Shield Smash is really good for her in PvP because that piercing does a lot for you, but she doesn't make use of the attack so much. She does scale with attack, but not so much. So that's why I leaned towards Boss Slayer over Shield Smash, was because I was trying to use her in PvE as well. In a PvP only application, I would probably lean towards Shield Smash Versatility. As far as purple auras go for her, Bold Confidence is the way. I wouldn't lean any other way than Bold Confidence. That's just kind of what that is. Donald, I don't think it's a question. Shield Smash is really good for him. You could probably use Versatility, but I think the Shield Smash is better because his counterattacks, they should not scale with skill damage. So Shield Smash would be good in this department because that would scale the counterattacks that he does. A honorable mention could be Boss Slayer, but again, the attack and the piercing, both he takes advantage of, so that's why I'm saying that this would be the best in slot for him. In terms of purple auras, you could use the Bold Confidence. For Rister, we like speed. And there are different ways to play Rister, right? For PvE, in some teams I'll use Recovery Horn because I need the healing. Sometimes I use Speed Mark for PvP. I would like to consider putting him in an Arena Dominator at some point, but this is going to be like Kraken moves way down the line. Nothing anytime soon. Combat Vanguard is a decent aura for him as well because he can apply a team-wide CV, so that's these two are decent legendary auras for him. I wouldn't go anywhere else. Skill Master is just kind of expensive. CV is a very similar effect. And it's a lot easier and cheaper and faster to get. So in between CV and Arena Dominator would be my opinion as the best in slot legendary auras for Rister. And in terms of purple auras, you could use Hitmaster, you could use Recovery Horn, but this is going to be more so a PvE application than a PvP, and that would be Speed Mark. You could also use this one. And this one would probably be my recommendation as best in slot because Fast Rister is good, especially if you're using him with like Space, because he does need to be fast enough to keep up with Space in order to prevent the cut from happening. So Rister is a speed enjoyer. Indra, best in slot is the Surging Force aura. I would not recommend any other legendary aura for him. I would not recommend really any of the purple auras for him. I would say that you're kind of stuck between Surging Force and Mastery Expert. So either one of those two auras would be the best for him. He is more so a PvE hero, so he's not something that you would consider in your endgame PvP list, I think. For Lydia, we've got a number of auras. I think that the best in slot for Lydia is Combat Vanguard, and that's just because of how her kit works. Her S2 and S4 both do AoE attacks. Her counterattacks is an AoE. She will put Combat Vanguard on the entire team. All the time. All the time she does that. A close second, I would think, could be Versatility or Shield Smash, and that would just be kind of a selfish aura to increase her damage in and of itself. I don't think it's totally necessary. I think Lydia is the most optimal CV applier in the game. And this is a really good PvE aura as well, so you don't have to do a lot of changing around. You don't need multiple auras. You can just run CV and be fine. In terms of purple auras, I think Bold Confidence would be the best in slot purple aura for her, but that's going to kind of force you into a more DPS role for your Lydia. When it comes to Belle, her passive does scale with skill damage, so I like versatility. This is probably the best in slot aura for her, but this is also Kraken aura. So aside from versatility, I think Shield Smash would be the best in slot second aura for her. Boss Slayer is good, but I think Shield Smash is better for DPSs because you do get the attack and you do get the piercing. The piercing is really, really good. In terms of purple auras, the Bold Confidence would be a close second, and that's pretty much it for her. Little Jack, he's got a few different auras. Versatility is what we're using because we used to use Little Jack a lot as he used to be the king of Wuthering Coast. He still kind of is a king in dungeons. And you know his respective faction. So versatility does offer the most damage boost, but at this point in the game with Indra and Dianmu now, and that being like the King Wuthering Coast team, and you know Little Jack's kind of forced into more so a supporty type role. I think versatility is a heavy investment for him. So I would definitely recommend more so like towards Shield Smash because that's going to increase his damage a bit for dungeons for Faction Abyss, and he's still going to provide his support role because that's mastery based. And for endgame PvPers and PvEers, we typically do not have an issue finding mastery to even consider the Searching Force aura. So Shield Smash would probably be the best in slot in terms of like cost value ratio, I guess. And then once you're looking at purple auras, I don't think there's any purple aura that is for him. I would say that Mastery Expert would be the second best aura. You know, because you can use Advanced Hit, but Shield Smash is going to give you more because of how his kit works. He's half direct damage, so the attack and the piercing rate works really, really well for his direct damage portion of his kit. Whereas the Advanced Hit just grants the attack bonus, so you can see you'll get more attack from the Shield Smash and you'll get the piercing. So yeah, I don't see a reason to build Advanced Hit because it's similar in cost to Shield Smash. So that is it for Little Jack. Let's look at Santa. Santa's got a few different options. He's actually a pretty interesting hero. You can run the Combat Vanguard on Santa. You can run the Skill Master on Santa. What I'm going to do, and this might not be traditional for Santa, I'm going to build a Hit Grandmaster for him to build his HP up so his shields and healing is more, and to get his effect hit just a smidgen higher. Because my Santa, I've got a lot more speed on him, but I don't have as much EH on him. So that's why right now I'm using the Hitmaster aura. But between Combat, Skill Master, and Hit Grandmaster, I think you'll find what you're looking for. In terms of purple auras, the Hitmaster aura is really good. Possibly the Speed Mark if you need the extra speed. And the Recovery Horn can work for him. I'm only using that for a Broken Lands team right now because I'm doing a lot of damage really early and I need the healing. So I put Recovery Horn on Nicholas for that purpose. Let's see. Popper, he's Arena Dominator or Speed Mark. Space is Arena Dominator or Speed Mark. Bunny is going to be Arena Dominator, Speed Mark, or Skill Master. You can use Skill Master on Bunny. And you can also use Mastery Surge in PvP if you're using her with or PvE if you're using her with some type of DO tier like Little Jack. I use Mastery Surge for her and the Broken Lands. Jumping over to Rona is going to be Speed Mark and Arena Dominator. Jumping over to Elec. Elec's an interesting one. He can run like Survival or even Hit Grandmaster. Elec's a hard one because he's kind of like, I would class him with Ether in terms of legendary aura for the stats boost and new PvP, but really kind of a waste. In terms of purple auras, you could run like Dwarven Blessing, or you could run Speed Mark. Again, the advantage to the auras in the new content, and that's assuming that the season effect stays the same, right? is the star level is really more important. So like a 5-star epic still provides a decent boost. It's not like a 5-star legend, but also 5-star legends are really expensive. But I would lean towards like survival or you could even try to go skill master, but you would need an absurdly fast Alec, I feel like, to run something like this, because generally speaking, Alec is just there to be faster than like a Donald, or to absorb and imprison from Lydia, or freeze from Nazil, or something of that nature. So he's not necessarily like gonna use that skill before your DPS goes most of the time in order, like, you're not gonna benefit from it really. So survival, hit Grandmaster maybe, but I don't know if I'd recommend a legend for Alec, but if you had to, I would say survival or hit Grandmaster. And then purple, we could do Speed Mark, we could do Dwarven Blessings, or we could even do Recovery Horn. Those are all decent options for Alec. Ether is another kind of off-meta-ish tune. For her, I was thinking about survival, just because she is kind of a soak-up damage kind of hero. So keeping her alive for longer could benefit her. So I was leaning towards survival. I think Hit Grandmaster could also work. In terms of purple auras, you'd probably use the Dwarven Blessing aura, or maybe you'd use Recovery Horn, but I think the Blessing might be better. For Ascendo, you're looking at Speed Mark and Arena Dominator. For Nilua, I'm thinking for Nilua, and I spoke with a couple of people about this, and kind of theorycrafted a little bit for her. The Combat Vanguard is probably the best, because what her job is really, while she can do damage, I would say that her main role is to cleanse and to reduce turn meters. So you build her with 100% crit rate, and she can reduce turn meter with her S4, and it's also a team-wide AoE strike. So you can apply Combat Vanguard with that strike and do her role. So not only does it cleanse you and reduce turn meter of the enemy, but it'll also increase your damage. So I think Combat Vanguard is probably going to be the best in slot legendary aura for her. And then in terms of purple auras, you probably run with Bold Confidence, and I don't really see another one that would be good for her in this purple application. And that would just more so boost her damage, which she can do good damage, but you have to build her to do damage. And mine's more so built for to land that S4 crit and utilize that portion of her mechanics. For Nazil, I would think that in terms of the legendary auras, Hit Grandmaster is probably going to be the best for him. In terms of purple auras, the Hit Master is probably going to be best for him. Let's say for Tifia, you could probably run Shield Smash on her, as most likely the best in slot, just to increase that amount of damage. I mean, you could use Versatility, but that just seems like a lot of investment for a hero like Tifia. So Shield Smash is probably the best quote-unquote budget aura, and then Bold Confidence for the purple department. Let's see, who else looks like PvP-ish heroes? Gielamin's going to be a Shield Smash enjoyer, Bold Confidence. Pretty much all of your DDers, right? All of your DDers are going to be looking at Shield Smash and Bold Confidence. All of your turn meter manipulators like Ascendo, Space, Popper, etc. You're looking at Speed Mark and Arena Dominator. A lot of your supports, you're bouncing between Hit Grandmaster, your defender heroes. You're going to bounce between Hit Grandmaster, Survival, and things of that nature. And you know, that's pretty much it really for meta PvP tunes that I'm looking at here in my box. I kind of just went through what I can see and was spouting off different ideas and I guess theorizing what they might want to use. But there again, too, some of these things, they might depend on what you're able to build with your box stats. So, like, for Nordak, right, if I can't get him to 1,000,000 HP in his box stat, I might consider Hit Grandmaster just so that way I can get his initial HP to be up, so that way he can spread bigger shields everywhere. But if I can get him to a decent HP in the box stat and not need that aura, I might run Survival to be a little bit more selfish, that way he'll survive more. Things like that you also have to take into consideration. Again, it's not necessarily a one-size-fits-all equation. There are recommendations general that you can give to people, and that's what I've tried to do here. So I hope that you can take this and make the most out of it, because like I said, with this new PvP content being very aura, at least at first glance, right, very aura-focused, your legendary auras are going to, need some work, or at least getting your purple auras up. We've got quite a bit of legendary auras that we're working on ourselves. We've got one more star for Ben's Skillmaster, we've got a few stars for Pandas, and we've got a star for Bryn. And we're going to be starting some new ones very soon, like Noyua, Nordak, and a few others, maybe Ether. I'm not going to work on Indra's aura because he doesn't need it. It's a waste of materials. In PvE, he does plenty. I don't even need this aura on him to begin with. I just have it for the stats boost because a legendary aura does give more stats, and I'm going to level it over time. And maybe I'll star it at some point down the road if there's a need for it to be starred, but just as a placeholder, right? That's why I've got it there. But like I said, for the new PvP content, I'm really, personally, myself, going to start working towards getting more legendary auras put together. I do want to increase my stats boost from, this content and be able to, place in the Emperor, because it does give a decent reward. Let's see, what did it give us? It gave us a decent amount of stamp XP and a few rune chests. So I think this is going to be pretty important to try and maintain Emperor if you can. And I'll go over different strategies and stuff next time we have this. I didn't want to try to guide people during the current season because it's everybody's first season. There's no way to give you tips and recommendations if we're all experiencing it for the first time. But I've got kind of an idea of different things that work well so far. So I'll be able to put out a video of this once the display phase ends and the new season begins. We'll start to do that. And I've also got a FPA trick that I've been working on. And I'll go into more detail about this in another video. So anyhow, I know this is a long one, 36 minutes. Thank you for bearing with me. I hope that you were maybe able to make use of some of these recommendations. Maybe help guide you a little bit in your building. And we've got more parts to this quote-unquote video series coming soon. We'll get into echoes and blessings here in a bit. And gear recommendations and how to start making these heroes work together, because it's not just load a bunch of stats on heroes. They do have to work together. Like Henge in particular, I keep referring back to. You need your DPS to be in sync with Henge. You need to S4 and then DPS go. You don't want to S4 and then your enemy takes a few turns, puts shields back up, and then your DPS goes. That's silly. So things like this are really, really important for PvP and for PvE too. So we'll get into all of that. With time over the next few weeks, we're gonna keep putting out videos on this. And yeah, so hope that we were able to utilize this information. And we'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace out. Bye.